Why am I not hearing anything? Something is wrong. That's it. There we go. Audio's working. Hey, happy Thursday. And with that, here you go. Oh, I did it again. I didn't change the output. Oh, here we go. Rewind and Suno intro.
Early morning on a Thursday, I'm getting ready for the day. Tune into Ask a Traffic Cop. Shapiro's in play. Got questions about traffic law, or need some traffic safety tips. Sean's got all the answers, y'all. He's got the knowledge to equip. Yeah. So ask a cop, get the scoop on traffic law. Bring your cues from Ontario, Canada, he'll guide you along. It's a Thursday morning, let's get it on.
And that's it. I am still having fun, and I hope you are too. That was an AI-generated intro for today, Thursday, the 21st of March. And thanks to Suno.ai, I'm having so much fun. It's a free app. Go play with it. Well, it's a website, yes. What are we talking about? Let's start off by discussing what happens here on this magical show. We are here for you to answer your traffic and police questions. We do it most weekdays, although we won't be doing it tomorrow because I'm not in. But we are currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and of course, X. X, which has been really, really popular. We've had tons of people joining us on X. Thank you to the folks who are watching on X who have never watched before or just tuning in at the right time so you can engage with us and ask questions live. This is a live show. Hi, I'm actually here. And if you ask me questions, I actually answer. And that's how this works. That's what makes the magic. And if you can't watch us live, know that I download this episode or all episodes and I upload them to podcasting platforms after the show so that you can synchronize them with your device and then watch them or consume them audio only or audio and video when you can. Of course, archives are also available on YouTube, but that's another story. If you'd like to watch it on Spotify, you can. If you want to listen to it on Apple Podcasts or iHeart Podcasts, well, you can. So that's a thing. If you go to TrafficCop.ca, then you can get links to all of our social media and all of our, well, it's all social media, I guess. Podcasts are social media, aren't they? I mean, they're podcasts, but doesn't that count? If you got those questions, get them ready because we're going to jump into those in a few seconds. But first, I want to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Yes, those magical people who, well, they spend their time making everything better. I mean that from the perspective of behavior on the roads. How do they do that? Well, they go out there and they change driver behavior one ticket at a time. They do it by, well, having conversations about speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They want drivers to change their behavior because we all want the roads to be safer for the people we care about. And I care about myself and everybody else. So I want to be safe on the roads, and I'm going to act appropriately. Also, I don't want a ticket from these folks. Today, they're spending time in 23 Division and 33 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. And if you don't want to meet them and get a ticket from them, then I would suggest possibly maybe not breaking the law. I posted a video yesterday talking about, well, it was a stitch. Someone said, have you ever noticed how when people have food on the passenger seat, they drive really, really carefully? Yeah, they do. So treat people like takeout, like treat people like it's the food that you just spent $50 on, and maybe you'd actually drive responsibly. Is my take on it. That's great. I think all of our campaigns should be, your passenger is better than a burger. Don't hurt them. Drive responsibly. I don't know, something like that. But it's shocking. We often say that we treat our animals better than we treat humans, but we really treat our takeout food better than we treat passengers. At least that's my take on it after seeing that first video, which I chose to stitch. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Julie is the first in the chat room. Says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Julie. Brandon has a dad joke. I'll save that for later. But Paul says, good morning, all. And Brandon has a question about automatic plate readers. We can talk about that in a moment. Yes. Akela, notice the 5-minute delay. The 5-minute delay is I didn't choose to actually, or I forgot to create a song this morning, so I had to do that. That's what the 5-minute delay was. But we weren't waiting for you. No, it was all me. Tien says, good morning to everyone. and Paul is absolutely right. I am having too much fun with this app. Let's see here. I just want to see if our stream is working on TikTok. Things are coming in, but our TikTok isn't updating. Maybe we can fix that. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a long time, and that is, can I do this? Can I make it happen? I'm gonna give you a 30-second timer. That was enough time for me to do some background stuff and see if I can breathe life back into the software. And that we didn't have to stare. I don't know. Was a timer better than staring at the top of my head while I do stuff? It's trying something new. We'll know in a few moments if it worked. In the meantime, I'm going to try and be everywhere at the same time. And I'll do that by way of scrolling over here. Hello, Traffic Cop. That's a message from Yorkster. And it's Nick21 says hello. Marzi says Toronto cops are lazy. I think that's possibly a generalization. I'm sure we have lazy ones and high-powered, energized ones, and because it's people come in all shapes, sizes, and work ethics. Nick says, how are you? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Okay, we have a question about what is the penalty for the second offense of distracted driving? Let me cut this and paste this over here. Doing the old manual thing since it looks like Restream is not taking our messages. It might start working, and then that will just get better. All right. We talked about this. I'm going to flag that for a bit. Yogi Bear quote from Akela. Dad joke from Akela. Water for me. Okay. We have a greetings and salutations from Akela. It wouldn't be a show without it. Northern Pike says, good morning, everybody. Oh. Okay, I've got this flagged for a second from now. All right, what do we got here? Can we talk about speed camera, red light camera apps? Are they legal or not? What are we talking about? Are we talking about apps that tell you where they are? Okay, we can talk about that. I'll put that in the chat for everyone to see. And there we go. Lawrence, hey, it's Lawrence Smith who says, you are amazing. So nice to see you again. I'm here almost every day, but nice to see you. And thank you. Casey says, food can't hold on. So we can treat people bad because they can? No. Okay, let's see here. Going in posted speed limit, being tailgated. Okay, we'll talk about that. That's actually a really good question. By the way, please use the letter Q in front of your questions so that I can see that it's a question and not banter amongst those in the chat. Flagging that. We're gonna fill up the chat. That's what we're gonna do. Yorkster wants to know if you can eat a burger while driving, and then send a burger emoji just to really seal the deal. Okay, add a question mark, and we'll flag it. It appears that we're gonna be able to keep a chill, vibe, like in terms of pace. We're gonna go nice and slow today because we're not seeing the wild and heavy influx of persons in the chat today. So that's good. We can keep it light. Uh, need Jeopardy music with the timeout. That might work, but that came with the trailer. Spicy Mayo wants to know about entering and leaving the HOV lane. That's a great question. We'll talk about that in a sec too. I'm putting them all in, and then we'll go through them all. But you're getting the preview. We're going to say what the question is, and then come back to it. Filippo DeLeo has a question about firearms. This will be an interesting discussion. What happens, what is this? If you got stoned, what happens if you got charged by stone driving when I already have one? Oh, impaired operation. Is that what you're talking about? Stoned driving. If you were arrested for impaired operation, it's a criminal offense in Canada. And yeah, it depends on where you are. Okay, we talked about this. Spicy Mail, I see your question. I flagged it. We're going to get to it. Sven says, latest issues seen lately is people who are driving in the left lane below the speed limit. We'll definitely talk about that. Why don't BMW, Audi, and Mercedes have turn signals? That's a user error. That's not a Mercedes, but their fingers are broken. They don't know how to use them. What happens if I got charged? We talked about that, or we will talk about that. And Yorkshire, you can eat a burger, but we're going to talk about it in a second. All right. I think we're up to date, and that means, stunt driving. He didn't say stone driving. He meant stunt driving. Okay, let's get to the chat, at least the ones that I've all pinned. I got 9 things to talk about. We'll talk about them right now. So what's the penalty for a second offense of distracted driving? Well, there's a range. Like distracted driving, let's pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. We're going to take this on a total different way today because we can. And that's going to be, here we go. Distracted. Actually, we're going to say handheld because that's going to be the short form wording. Drive handheld entertainment device. So, consequences. Penalty. Every person who contravenes this section is guilty of an offense and on conviction is liable for a first offense to a fine not less than $500, not more than $1,000. And B, for a subsequent offense, for a fine of not less than $500, not more than $2,000. Now, for a first offense, you get a 3-day suspension. For a subsequent offense, it's for the first subsequent offense, it's a 7-day suspension, and any further subsequent offense, 30 days. So there you go, and that also comes with a wonderful 3 or 6 demerit points. How does it work for the points? You get points. I'm not going to read further on it, but that's basically it. So you're looking at up to $2,000 and a 7-day suspension. I'm assuming you're going to get the 6 points, not the 3 on the second conviction, but hey, I don't know. Now, the next question is, can we talk about speed camera, red light camera apps? Are they legal or not? You have to know that in Ontario, and I don't know about other jurisdictions, but we post signs letting people know where these are. We have a list of them on the City of Toronto website. You can even see the certificates of their last calibration and all that sort of stuff. So an app that has that information available is no big deal. In fact, my GPS, my red light, what the heck's it called? My dash camera, if it was working, and it's not, well, they announce it. They have a database. It's obviously publicly shared information. It's not illegal, and it just works. So no, apps that share the location of those things are not a big deal. I'd like them to be everywhere so that it would just constantly tell you, slow down. But yeah, that's a story. They're not illegal. Waze that tells people where cameras are and tells people where police are when it's reported, not illegal. I think it's great. Now, it's not the same as a radar detector. Radar detector is detecting radar or laser and is preventing police from measuring your speed. That is different than someone knowing that the police are everywhere and then just driving properly. Same, but different. Okay, let's see if Oh, Facebook. I see one J Craft Boys who says good morning. Lots of Facebook action here. Cool. But I don't see any TikTok's not working. Any Instagram? I see a couple comments on Instagram. I see you. I'll come to you in a second. All right. Are you going? Okay, so HOV going in posted speed, at posted speed, being tailgated. Am I at fault for impeding? You're in the HOV. The speed limit is the speed limit on all lanes. No one's allowed to speed, and you're not allowed to cross the dotted lines to get. You're allowed to cross the dotted lines only to get in and get out of the HOV. HOV is not the fast lane. In fact, in a fast lane, you're not allowed to speed. But if someone wants to go faster, let them go to the passing lane, which is the lane to the right of the HOV. In the HOV, you're entitled to be there. You're not entitled to speed differential. In fact, if it's completely stopped traffic to your right, you don't want to be speeding in there. You don't even want to be doing necessarily the full speed limit, because if someone decides to pull a bonehead move and pull into that HOV lane in an area they're not allowed to, you're going to get into a major collision. You're going to be having a tremendous speed differential between stopped or slow-moving traffic and even the speed limit, and that's going to be a bad day at the office. So, no, you're not impeding at that point. I mean, the OPP might argue and decide to charge you for something. I can't speak for what they'll do, but you can't be held responsible for impeding traffic when you're doing the lawful thing. HOV doesn't say go faster than everybody else, doesn't say go drive dangerously or drive illegally. The HOV is a unique side, because you're supposed to keep right unless you are passing on regular lanes. HOV lane doesn't give you that ability. You can't pull out to be overtaken, and they can't do it. So this is where I say hold your own, and if you get a ticket for it, I say play this video. Go watch the archives. It's not reasonable for you to get out of the way, and I think you'd have some fun time in court. If you were charged, I think you'd win. Yeah, this will be a controversial topic. I'll flag this for later. Can I eat a burger while driving? I said you could, because you can. Now, if that burger event turns into a two-handed, close your eyes, savoring the flavor, you're carelessly driving, and you should be charged for it. But if you're taking a bite of your burger, eating a French fry, drinking your coffee, whatever the case may be, in Ontario, it's not illegal. Other provinces have different opinions on that. I think in BC, it's distracted driving to drink from your bottle of water. That's what I've been told. I've never had the experience, but yeah. Now, I will tell you that Scott Marshall, a safe driver, says, if you're anything more than having a Werther's candy, he wouldn't suggest it. He wants you to focus on driving, and he's right. You should be focused on driving. But is it illegal? Not unless it's negatively impacting your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle on the road. There you go. Now, I alluded to this or mentioned it earlier when we were talking about tailgating in the HOV. Are you allowed to leave and enter the HOV lane even when the dotted lines aren't there? No, you're not. In fact, there are signs posted, and those signs have authority, and it is against the law to change lanes over those lines. And I often say it is not, that there's no authority in lines. It's the signs that have the authority. You can't cross those lines because there's signs that say so. Let us see here. Okay, so here's a question that is also probably controversial. Filippo De Leo says, hey, Sean, hope you're well. Do you think the handgun freeze will lower gun crime in the country? I do not. And you know who else doesn't? The police chiefs across Canada. They've said it openly in the media, so I have no issue echoing that. The guns that are used in crime are illegal guns, not those of legal gun owners. Shocking, right? This isn't news. This is old news. It's a waste of time. Okay, so this is the question about stunt driving, but they said stone driving, but it was stunt. Typos happen. So what happens if I got charged stunt driving when I already have one, so it'll be my second charge? Well, charges don't change anything. I mean, you'll get your immediate roadside suspension for 30 days. You'll lose your vehicle again for your 14-day vehicle impound. And so 14-day impound, 30-day suspension, that's going to suck. It's going to cost you money. But that's the administrative side of it. When you get a conviction in court, that's where things change. Now, the first charge that you have, were you convicted or is it still before the courts? Once you're convicted of the first one, that first one will come with a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition. That's a problem for you. Second one has a 3 to 10 year driving prohibition. That's also not good. The $2,000 to $10,000 fine is the same for both. It's a range, and you're eligible for up to 6 months in jail. Now, most people don't get jail the first time. Maybe you'd be eligible for jail the second time. It's up to the justice of the peace, the person presiding over the case. I've not seen people go to jail, my personal experience, as a result of it, but it is an option for the courts, and that's interesting. What else is up there? I think that's about it. The third conviction, lifetime ban, not range. You're done. So you obviously, if you've gotten charged the second time, you're not getting the message. Change your driving. Be better. You can do it. I believe in you. Okay. We could really use a Chase on the case today. Where is Chase? How is he leaving us, abandoning us to? No, this is a technical issue, and it's been really solid lately. This week, I don't think this is the first time this week where we're having a technical issue where stuff and things are not automatically populating. Let me try doing this, reload, try reloading it again, turning back on. I don't know. Maybe we can jumpstart the heart. Okay, so Sven says, latest issues seen lately, people driving below the speed limit in the left lane. So I was talking about the HOV lane earlier, and I mentioned this. Left lane is for passing. If you look at Europe, they're really good drivers in Europe. We're not very good drivers here, at least the people I'm watching every day on the road with me, not very good drivers. They're very entitled, and that's rude. They're just rude drivers. So if you are going slow in the left lane, you're doing it wrong. Stay to the right. Now, I'm not saying go faster because there's people doing, you don't have to drive fast. You don't have to drive at the speed limit. You can drive below the speed limit, but stay to the right. Do it safe. Let the people who are traveling lawfully at the speed limit pass you on the left. And the people who are breaking the law, sadly, let them pass on the left because they're boneheads who want to put people at risk. But it's better to let them do it on the left lane than to be a roadblock for them and then cause them to pass unsafely to your right. So I'll know it's wrong. People want to be, do their 105 or 120 in the left lane, and then people doing 130 and 140 are passing them to the right. I have so many issues with people who speed, and this whole concept, it bugs me to even suggest that we have to get out of the way for a bonehead speeder. And I'm being nice by saying bonehead. I want to say other things. You're making the roads unsafe for everybody. Speeders, slow down. The limit is the limit. And I pray that we get automated speed enforcement on every road because that might actually slow people down. Just a reminder that if you put a Q before the question you have, I might actually notice it faster. Just saying. Also, if you're on TikTok and you're frustrated because I can't see your stuff without manually going through and cutting and pasting your questions today, you can always go to youtube.trafficcop.ca. That'll take you over to our YouTube channel, and it has a far better integration. But something's going on TikTok in general today because I see numbers are down. Usually we have thousands of people in. Today we've just got under 1,000. But that's okay. We love you anyway. If you'd be so kind as to double tap, triple tap, follow, like, subscribe. If TikTok in particular, just tap until your finger goes numb. Let those likes for the stream go to the thousands because that does help bring people in. Mind you, if more people are in, it's going to be harder to get your questions answered. So if you like to chill, just leave it the way it is. I'm not no pressure. We don't get paid more if there's more people. It's all the same. Let's see what's going on here. YG Gamed. Can I attach my motorbike driver's license from my country to my M1 and take the full M like I did for my G? That is a question you'll need to have a conversation and ask the folks at Service Ontario. When you got your full G, you should have told them that you have a motorcycle license from your home country, and that should have all happened all at once. After the fact, I don't know what they do, but if you have an M1, you are an M1 rider. There's no other benefit that they're going to give you at the moment. But talk to them. I don't know how they're going to interpret it. I've heard many people who got here and said, I'm a motorcycle rider. They said, you are? And they said, yes. And they went, here you go. You have a motorcycle. Like, I don't know how they operate. Victoria says, good morning. Your show is awesome. Thank you, Victoria. I really appreciate it. We try. This is everyday trying. Northern Pike says, Sean, are you wearing two watches? Yes, I have a wrist computer and a timepiece. Two different things. Had this conversation with my buddy Chris, who oddly enough is retiring real soon, and we're going to miss him around here. But he noticed the 2 watches, and he's like, "Well, why?" I said, "Well, this one's an Apple Watch, and it's a computer, and I get my notifications on it, but I don't use it for telling time. I have a thing about I like watches, but timepieces, and there's something romantic about a piece of mechanical, technology that keeps time. So I like that. I tell time with my timepiece, and I get notifications and measure my heart rate and stuff with the other one." Michael says the bot has started. Okay, cool. Hopefully that means things are actually going to start working. Let's see here. Paul says cars that don't signal have a malfunction between the steering wheel and the driver's seat. Absolutely. And for some reason this week, although it hasn't been for a long, long time, people have been asking a lot of questions about signaling. And the answer is, you signal all the time. Like, you don't have to if nobody is on the road. If there's absolutely nobody on the road, if it doesn't impact any person, whether they're driving, cycling, walking, rolling, whatever the case may be, if no person is affected by your turn, then it's not technically required. But if I'm going to write you a ticket, it means I was there and you didn't notice, which means you were wrong. Just get in the habit of signaling all the time. It's the safest thing. I mentioned Jay is here. Hi, Jay. Okay, Michael says Facebook not tick. Okay, gotcha. The bot is working, so it's reproducing comments for other things. Okay, that's cool. Again, it's been working for so long. Why did it choose to fail us today? And a reminder that I'm not here tomorrow, so this is the last show of the week. We'll be back on Monday, though. So, if you have questions tomorrow, you got to hang on to them. Jay wants to know if I can go left of center, if safe, to get to the left turn lane when traffic is backed up. So thanks a lot for that question. Here's the deal. If you're interfering with anybody else, it's a problem. But just driving left of center isn't against the law, but it is very high risk, and you are absolutely responsible for whatever happens. So, yeah, there's no charge for going left of center. There used to be a charge called fail to drive in marked lane, and I would say that would be applicable prior to them removing it from the Highway Traffic Act, which is people say, what's one law you would change? And both Sergeant Campbell and I both agree that we'd bring back that law, because to have this just void of charge for doing that, because it is dangerous, right? But you can do it. It's not against law. But expect to get pulled over, because people get confused when you drive that way. Tweep says, hope everyone is having a fantastic morning. Well, now we are. Thanks, Tweep, for the message. And Tian has a question. Oh, Tian is actually helping us out by taking questions from, I'm assuming, TikTok. Is that what's happening? Let's have a look. Either way, Leah has a question. For my G2, it says I can only have one passenger under the age of 19 between 12 and 5. Does this mean I can have as many people in my car between 12 and 5 if they're over the age of 19? You can have as many people as you have seat belts. And yes, that is what it means. As long as you can have as many people as your vehicle is designed that has seats and seat belts to accommodate them. So you can't have 5 in a 4-seater car. But the goal, the reason behind it all, and it changes, by the way. One person under the age of, what am I saying here? Yes. Okay, let's back it up. One person under the age of 20, who between the hours of 12 and 5, but there is an exemption if you have family, immediate family. So if you have brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, that sort of stuff, husbands, wives, then you can have them in your car even if they're under that age group. And then when you are licensed for 6 months and a day, it changes to 3 people under the age of 20 between 12 and 5, and then the restrictions off after a year. Yeah. Fun stuff. And thanks to Tian for yet another one. The school cameras to ensure driving, let's see here. Janice Strong says, the school cameras to ensure we are driving the 30 kilometers, do they have a time frame of operation, I assume? No, they're 24 hours. It's in a school zone, it's a community safety zone, but it's not for school time. It's not specific to the school. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Akil is in a funk this week. I get you. I feel you. The news has been miserable this week. Let's see here. We talked about YG asking about the motorcycle business. Does a two-way radio count as a distracted driving charge? Yes, it does. Although there are certain exceptions, like if you're a commercial vehicle operator, there's an exemption for certain people. Certainly for police, fire, ambulance, there is, and for some commercial drivers, check it out. Well, we can look into that and give you what do you do? This is important. So, average person, two-way radio, it's a problem. Not for everybody though. Okay. YG's asking a lot. Please don't spam. I mean, there's not a lot of people here, but don't spam. Mind you, we have 67 people here, and where are those 67 people? Is it majority traffic services and voiceover cop on X? That's where the majority of people are. We also have a lot of people in traffic services, Toronto Police, YouTube. Always interesting to see where people are coming from. And of course, we have lots of folks who are coming in from TikTok. But it's a different screen I got to look at. Oh, and I said I was going to look over here, and I didn't. Let's see what's going on here. It's YG. He's on all platforms. He was on TikTok. Okay, we got you. Let's see here. Michael says Tian is on the case today, and I haven't talked about this in a while, but Tian and Michael and Chase are all in our Telegram group. If you go to telegram.TrafficCop.ca, you can join the Telegram group and chat with us because that's what it's there for. We're a community here. We help each other out. And guys, I really do appreciate it. TikTok's not working today in terms of the bringing stuff over, but Tian has jumped to the task and has been cutting and pasting questions from TikTok into YouTube.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. That's awesome of him.
His of the super kind community. Let's see here. Victoria Pereira says or asks, if I'm backing out of my driveway and there's a car parked in a no parking zone and I hit them, who's at fault? You're still responsible for the movement of your motor vehicle. So there, in terms of the contact, I'd say there's a fault there.
Yeah, absolutely. The person who's operating the vehicle is definitely at fault, causing the collision. Mm-hmm. Is there some blame on the person who parked unlawfully? Yeah, but there's a way to resolve that by way of parking ticket and towed away.
Yeah, and it is a problem. Sometimes people park in such a way that it's almost impossible. People try with the 37-point turn, trying to get through the space that's being created by this, entitled parker. But it doesn't excuse it. Like, really, if you can't make the turn safely and carefully, stop, call parking enforcement. They'll probably tag and tow the car.
Yeah. And a driveway obstruct call for them is a highest priority one for them, so they will come right away.
That's good to know. I did not know. By the way, for those who don't know who this is, Sergeant Murray Campbell from Traffic Services, the office down the hall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here. I work with Sean. I work with all of the people up here on our second floor. We're the administrative people up here that look after towing, impounding. We're the liaison with the Ministry of Transportation. We're the liaison with all the construction hub workers that are in the city of Toronto for all the construction that's going on. We are the breath tech coordinators. We are the drug recognition expert coordinators. We are the complaints person. We are everything.
We are the Swiss Army knife unit, actually.
We do it all.
A lot of people don't realize just how in-depth what we do is, like how far it goes and how many different areas. Traffic isn't just a speeding ticket enforcement. We do a whole bunch of things.
But even if it is speeding ticket enforcement, then you know what? That ticket goes to court, and that's a separate entity that has to communicate with Toronto Police. It has to go through the court process. There's got to be disclosure sent back and forth. There's a whole big thing that's going on in the background that you don't even, or not even, or may not be even aware of. Mm-hmm. Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. Let's see here. We've got. Let's see here. What's the new one where cars run the red light driving over the crosswalk? I am not familiar with is this like if people are trying to get out of red light running, so they do it by way of, no, they're still going to catch you if you run the red light. They don't, it's not crosswalk dependent. I'm not sure what you're asking, but there's no get out of jail free if you drive over a crosswalk. It's crossing the intersection. That's when his camera takes your picture.
Yep, absolutely. It goes not only the intersection, just across the white line.
Yes, and the crosswalk is after the white line, so you've already run it. Let's see here. How many days? I just did I literally posted this video today on TikTok. How many days can I drive in Toronto with home country license? So, If you are a new resident, you've become a resident in Ontario, you have 30 days with an approved license, a license that we would accept here. If you're visiting, however, and that license is one that's accepted here, there's two things at play. If it's in English and it's understood, generally speaking, you don't need an international driving permit, which is really just a translation card, but that would give you up to 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. And if you want to drive up to 6 months, you need to have an ID, international driving permit from your home country. But that may also be required just based on the fact that it's not in English. So there's a web page. It's called ASKaTrafficCop.TrafficCop.ca. And on that web page, I have a link to a website that has information for drivers coming and doing exactly what you're asking about.
And you know what? Things are different across Canada. So in Quebec, if you're a student and you're living there while you're in class, you don't have to change your driver's license. But Ontario, if you're coming here, if you have a place to stay, if it is your place, you need to change your driver's license over.
Yeah, when we consider you a resident, changes, and I agree with the way it's done in Ontario. I don't believe that people should just be able to drive here and not be held accountable.
Right, I agree.
Let's see here. Shiloh has a question, and we'll come to that in a second. I apparently know we're going to do it right now because I accidentally pressed the button instead of flagging it. Shiloh Bear Music says, is wearing headphones while driving considered an offense? I always think it's interesting because, again, different laws in different provinces. In Ontario, it's not against the law.
But it's not a great practice.
Not something we endorse or suggest or even, well, actually, let me rephrase. It depends. Because I have no issue with it if you have transparency mode on your headphones, and that's where there's microphones that basically make it that you hear everything. May even be amplifying the ambient sound, and you're listening at a reasonable volume. The problem is, and it's the same as if you're listening to your loud music just out of the speakers in your car. Loud music, whether it be fed directly into your ears or through the car's speakers, prevents you from hearing other stuff that could be important.
Right, like somebody's horn that is warning you that you're about to do something that could be dangerous, hazardous situation, stuff like that. So audible cues are great when you're in the vehicle. But is it unlawful? No.
But in BC, one ear only, from my understanding. In most places across the states, most places only want one ear. When I bought my motorcycle headset, headphones that go into my communications system for my motorcycle, they installed one speaker backwards because that met the requirements for New York State, I think it was.
Oh.
Things, because it was illegal there to cover both ears. I mean, never mind that the whole helmet's covering both ears, but that's a different story. Yes, there's different laws for different places. Let's see here. Just because we need a placeholder while I look for something else, there was a question: what do police think about the Waze app?
I like it. I use it all the time.
I was going to say, I totally use it all the time.
I use it in the police car because it usually knows better than we know.
Well, back in the day, the old dispatch system, when it gave you 5 lines of turn here, turn here, turn here, like it just gave you what you're about to do, but you had to still see it. There was no line that you followed.
Yep.
GPS on your phone was a godsend. And
the audio cues, like the directions audio, makes it so much easier.
Safer.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've been somewhere, I've been investigating something, and bloop, it pops up and it says police ahead, and I'm like, oh, that's me. I go around the corner and somebody else goes bloop, oh, that's me. And by the way, if you're doing that on your phone, it's not lawful.
Touching your phone and when you're driving,
one touch
to answer a call or hang up, not even to you can't do anything in relation to your GPS. You can view it, but that's it.
Yeah,
it has to be set and mounted. What is I think this is a good one to talk about. Did I do the right one? Yes. What is the charge for a novice being over 0.02 BAC but not over the 0.08 limit? What an interesting choice of numbers, because 0.02 isn't a number that really matters.
I was about to say, what caused you to try 0.2?
I don't know.
Anything above 0 is what matters.
Yes. Anything other than 0 for a novice or a young driver, because you have to be 22 years old, even if you have a full G license, in order to have anything other than 0. So what is it? What's the actual charge? What is the fine? Well, you're not driving because you're violating a condition, And it comes with a immediate suspension, does it not?
I
I have to look it up.
do believe. Yeah, I have to. I can't.
I've
don't
never-
believe
I-
it's a roadside
No?
suspension.
They just get a ticket? I don't think they can drive. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, no, you can't continue the offense. It's an offense in itself, so you definitely wouldn't be driving away. But let me have a look.
Okay.
I have an app for that.
So do I. I'm not looking at it. There's so many good questions coming in. Let me have a look at this.
Been a while since I've been on the road, so
Well, that's the thing. A lot of these things I haven't enforced. The stuff that I've enforced, I have firsthand knowledge. I've never dealt with a more than zero novice before, which is odd because it's happening all the time. And Paul B says, I think TikTok is working. You think TikTok is working? Well, TikTok is working, but it's not taking your questions into the platform that allows us to put them on the screen. So I have to manually do it.
no, it is a fine. It is a ticket, but
And
it's not a suspension.
Oh, that's so disappointing. I would have liked it to have been. I think it should be. Can we change it?
We should be able to.
Well, that way I'd be right on that answer and wouldn't be wrong. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Scrolling down to see what else we got here. Can you answer the question I DM'd you? I can't look at DMs right now, Greg, but if you asked me in DMs, I've got 150 DMs and waiting, and we'll get to yours eventually. But if you want to go to and ask the question here, by all means, let's see here. Can I drive on my own without my own insurance, but my car is insured under my dad? That's a good question. I'll throw that into the queue. But I've got a bunch of stuff here that needs to be answered first. And I'll post that to the board. All right. What do we, I have a big question from Victoria. This is in regards to the back up the driveway and smack into cars. Thank you for your response. Just to clarify, I constantly have cars parked in front of my driveway where parking is not allowed. I drive a Chevy High Country, very expensive, large pickup. I have not hit anyone. However, when I call parking authority, they ... Where's the rest of the ... I imagine I can... They ticket and don't tow. Some days I'm held hostage at home as I can't back out. That is terrible. I mean, it really is terrible. And maybe the answer is talking to your counselor, your local counselor, and make get some more attention there, like a regular route for enforcement. Something has to happen.
A driveway obstruct, to be able to tow a vehicle, that actually has to be an offense. They have to actually lay the ticket first before they call for a tow truck to be able to have the authority to tow it away. It may be the delay. It may be that there's not a tow available. They shouldn't be leaving without you being able to get out. And if they do, 416-808-6600 is the direct number.
And that's a good idea. And talk to a supervisor.
Yep. That's the Toronto Police Parking Enforcement direct line.
Rob Abbott from TikTok says, but you can complete a left-hand turn on a red. If you entered on a red, will pick be taken? No.
Yeah.
If you enter on a red,
If you enter on a red, yes,
you've broken
absolutely.
the law. You can't enter on a red. You said left-hand turn. Do you mean right-hand turn? You can make a right turn on red if you've come to a complete stop before the line. See, here's something that people seem to not understand. I watched 3 people do it this morning on my way into work. Right turns on reds are legal. However, you must come to a complete stop before the stop line. Only when it's safe to, and you've made that stop, can you then proceed, assuming there's no line prohibiting it, and also assuming it's safe.
There is not a vehicle operated in Ontario that is allowed to go through a red light without stopping first.
But I think something has to happen, like lasers or EMPs or something that strikes the car and takes it out of commission when people break that law.
Well,
It drives me bananas.
They get red light camera tickets.
Not often enough.
And like I said before, I've been to court before when they said, no, it's loud. I was making a right turn. No, it's not.
And somebody named A says, what if the light is yellow, turns red while leaving the intersection? Is that running a red? So if you are lawfully within the intersection, you entered on a green or a yellow, and yellow depends, because yellow actually doesn't mean slow down or caution. It means stop unless it's unsafe to proceed. Unsafe to do so, because if it's unsafe to, if you're past the point of no return, you don't stop. And the
Right.
point of no return is based on your speed, road conditions, vehicles around you. There's a bunch of things that we would take into consideration as well.
But you can get a ticket for entering an intersection on an amber light.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. But if let's say you went on the green, you got stuck in there because there was traffic, you waited until there was a space, and then you exited on the yellow or the red, that is lawful. It's actually your obligation to clear that intersection. If you don't, you could be liable for other offenses under the HTA and the bylaw.
Yeah, the offenses of entering an intersection on a yellow or red, once you're there lawfully and you occupy that intersection, it's yours until you clear it.
And yeah, if you don't clear it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You should only enter the intersection when you have a reasonable expectation or guarantee of exiting it. There's a blocking the box controversy in Toronto.
Yes, there is.
And people who jump into the intersection only to ensure nobody else jumps into the intersection because they don't want someone who's turning from a side street to get their space because they're in a rush. Well, they're talking about bringing that fine to $500 in the city of Toronto.
Wow.
It is, I think, currently $70.
You know what? It is it's an ignorant thing to do. You know you can't clear the intersection. You're coming in and stopping in the middle of the intersection. When the light cycle's around, the opposite traffic is not going to be able to proceed because you're still sitting there. So,
My buddy Andrew Bowen, who is coming in from, he's now in Toronto from Trinidad and Tobago and is driving on that license. So here's the question. If you're a resident here, you've moved here, you're now a resident. You have 30 days, not 3 months.
right.
And that's my understanding of what you've done. You moved here. So yeah, you need to apply. And also another thing that really gets people is they apply for a local license and they say, but I'm still licensed, so I'm going to keep driving on my home
Ooh,
license,
that's a
but
no.
I have a G1 learner's permit with my other hand. As soon as you've applied for an Ontario driver's license, that is the license that we go by. So if they didn't give you credit for anything above a G1, you are a G1 and you are driving in contravention of conditions and bad things happen.
And if you surrender a license while you possess an Ontario driver's license, if you surrender one from outside the province, there's an offense for that as well.
Yes.
And the fine for that's kind of up there.
Well, a lot of people who get, they apply for other licenses in other provinces when they're suspended here or they maintain 2 licenses because they have a history maybe of getting into trouble. They play that game and it doesn't work very well.
Well, you know what? We have computers. We get the
They
clues.
talk to each other?
Yeah.
Steve Boutine, I don't know. I'm making guesses and I'm going to stop. Can you explain the difference in roles between RCMP, provincial police, and municipal police? Well, simply, the RCMP is a federal police service, but in some jurisdictions, they act as provincial and or municipal.
Right. So there needs to be police officers patrolling everywhere in the country. So we have a federal police force. In Ontario and Quebec, they do federal charges. Drug importations, organized crime type stuff. Provincial police in Ontario and Quebec are responsible for policing the province unless a municipality decides to have their own municipal police force or regional police force. That's what Toronto is. Toronto is a municipal police force. We concentrate on the offenses that are happening in Toronto where it affects most of the Toronto citizens, and we kind of take our direction for the problems from the city. Where the province, if you come in, you pay the province to come in and police your community, you may or may not get police officers that are there for long term, that know the community, that are specifically focused on local concerns. And that's why municipalities have a municipal police force, so they can concentrate on just this.
Focus on their needs.
Kind of like Go Transit has their own special constables that focus on train and vehicle safety in relation to them. TTC, the same thing. They pay money to have their own special constables because Toronto Police can't go out and deal with TTC's issues specifically all the time, every day. But their own officers can.
It's good stuff. We become specialists, involved in the community, knowing the community, and very often from the community. So it's definitely a bonus.
That's not taken away from any of our policing partners.
No, and we all do, especially if we go and help. Sometimes we actually go and get not deputized, but sworn in other areas where we can help them. Like we do a lot of work together. But that's the basics. And we didn't talk. We looked at RCMP, but provincial police are responsible for the entire province, and in the GTA, they really just handle highways. But in communities that are smaller and can't afford, like you said, They do the municipal policing. Have you ever talked to anybody about employment?
Yeah, maybe once or twice in my career. Yeah.
If you are interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police, check out www.tps.ca/careers. It will take you to this magical place with magical smiling people pictures. But this is where you get information on how to become a member of the Toronto Police, how to, what the requirements are of becoming a police officer, special constable, parking enforcement officer, communications operator, people who do stuff and things that make this city work. There's even opportunities in auxiliary, which is how I started. Before I even became a court officer, I was an auxiliary officer. I had so much fun volunteering. I said, I got to do this full time. And I did. So if you're interested, check it out. You can find out all the ins and outs, all the background. And as well, why am I on the wrong page here? Oh, I got to click it on this window. This is where you can find out what the requirements are, responsibilities, what the job entails, as well as getting in contact with a recruiter who can give you answers to questions that you may have after reading this. It is a good idea to read this stuff, because going in there and saying, can you tell me everything? They're just going to point you back at the website and you're going to look silly. So take advantage of the opportunity. Also peruse the website if you're interested in careers with the policing, so you can get an idea of the kind of things we deal with and get a little history on the service. Now, there is something else you can look at, that's civilian roles. I love talking about it because there are so many jobs that have nothing to do with police. I mean, they serve police. They make things work for us so we can go out and protect the city and serve the community, but they're background jobs like employee services. They're people who are helping do things for us in the background. Law clerk and legal services, a nurse. Obviously, that's a nurse who's going to be taking care of us at headquarters. Clerk in court services, leave and absence coordinator, communications operator, solutions architect. Yes, we have a huge IT department. And then a senior analyst in the Azure integration platforms side of things. I know nothing about that at all, but I know that some people watching might know somebody who would be a great fit for one of these jobs. Send them here. We're looking for good people all the time, and maybe you know somebody or are somebody who would benefit from a magical job at a magical company.
And we need people like that. We need the good people like that to help us do the job on the front line. So if you're good, come join us.
We want you. All right. We have a question of, can a motorcycle rider hear a car horn beep with a full helmet on? Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's amazing. We actually hear lots. We also hear a lot of road noise, and many of us wear earplugs to protect our hearing. And even with the earplugs on, we are hearing things like that. So it does not prevent us from hearing. And there's different grades. I've had earplugs custom made with certain decibels being cut out and muted, but other ranges of sound would get through. Like, there's a lot of technology out there.
You're so geeky.
Yeah, I totally am. And it's the best way to be, by the way. The geeks. What is it? The geeks shall inherit the earth, or is it
the meek?
Oh, I thought it was the geeks. What? Sorry, I make myself laugh on occasion. Let's see here. Is underglow illegal while driving? This
Depends.
It does depend. And we have had this conversation all the time. It used to be one of our most common. Tint and underglow were the two most often asked questions, period. And underglow is one of those things that if it's professionally installed and I'm high up in the underbody of the car and it's just a faint glow, I don't see much of an issue with it. If it's being projected outward, I have an issue with it. If you're projecting light outward, if it's visible to the front, back, or sides of the vehicle in colors that are prohibited in that direction, it's obviously going to be a problem. So in general, whether you get a ticket or not, I would say use it with caution and preferably use it when parked. It doesn't need to be used on the road. The 90s have called. They want their stuff back. Mind you, everything's coming back again. Neon is apparently, I'm waiting for, what is it called? Parachute pants to make a return. Those were comfortable. Everything breathe. Let's see here. Solid Archer 2000 reminds us that deaf people can drive. All you need is eyesight to drive. Headphones are okay. Yes, you're correct in Ontario. And well, actually, I'm sure deaf people can drive everywhere and do a good job at it. They're also focused at doing it. They actually have skills to compensate for the fact that they are without hearing. Someone who generally relies on hearing and suddenly replaces that with music or silence is not going to do as well.
I really like the idea that they have in Europe, where your horn not only puts out an audible signal, but it flashes the high beams of your car as well. The visual audio together covers everything. It's a fantastic idea. I don't know why we don't have it here.
They even have fog light brake lights. Like they make good laws, and some very good laws in Europe. And they also have good drivers because they make it very difficult to get a license. And I think that's also very good. This is a question I alluded to or mentioned earlier. And Blickman wants to know if I can drive on my own without my own insurance, but my car is insured under my dad. So here's the deal. If your car, you own the car and your dad insures it, you best be getting insurance for you, because I can tell you that almost every, if not absolutely every insurance company wants you to be insured under that vehicle if not only you're a regular driver, but if you live with the person who's named on the insurance. That's going to cause you problems. And here's another concept that people don't take into consideration. Would you like to develop a history of driving so that you develop lower rates long term? Well, you do that by having even a secondary account where you develop a driver history on paper.
Right. So as a secondary driver, your name is listed on there and it shows your driving history. So as far as we're concerned, as long as the car is insured, then it is legal to be on the road. If you happen to live with your dad in the same household and you're not listed on the insurance policy, your insurance provider may refuse a claim should you get into an accident, even if it isn't your fault.
If we pull you over, though, it's not illegal. It's not illegal to drive an insured car on the road. But as the Sarge said, the insurance company, it's a private company. It made an agreement with the insured party. And if you violate some of those tiny small print things, they will take you to tell you to take a hike like nobody's business.
Yep.
It is so easy. And let's say it's an expensive car. You got I don't know, every car is expensive these days. You got a $50,000 car in your driveway, you wreck it. That's $50,000 they're going to tell you to take a hike on.
And you don't even have to wreck it. Could be somebody else doing it.
Yeah.
And you're still out of luck.
Yeah, bad day at the office. We have
Bad day in the car.
bad day on the highway.
If your car is in your office, that's a really bad day.
That's a totally different problem. BJ Hatchie says, a thief kicking in my door, weapon in hand, threatening to the life you. Is it illegal to defend myself? No, laws in Canada allow you to defend yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, you're allowed to use reasonable force. So, you know, someone comes up to you and says, I'm going to hurt you, and you defend yourself and get away. It's different than you knocking them unconscious and stomping up and down on them. That's something that you are going to be criminally responsible for. And now the bad guy who is still responsible for being bad, you're also responsible for going too far.
You're allowed to use as much force as necessary to defend yourself from an attack or perceived attack, but you're responsible for any excess thereof. And I think that's the wording that
sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at that case recently, and I don't know much more than the media talked about, but I understand that somebody armed with a knife came into a store. The store owner chased them out, had a baseball bat, maybe beat the guy up. That store owner got charged. And I don't know the details, but there was a reason they got charged. And the person was running away. There was no immediate threat, is my understanding.
My understanding is this shop owner followed him out of the store with a baseball bat and chased him down the road until he caught up with him, and then...
Yeah, so no immediate threat. It all depends. Just because someone is doing... And I don't like the idea of somebody breaking into my house. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. You totally do what you got to do, but you have to be reasonable in that use of force. And it gets complicated.
And remember, it's not us who decides what's reasonable or not. It's the courts that decide. So
yeah.
We can't even tell you what is reasonable in every situation. Everyone would be judged on its own.
Generally speaking, it's reasonability, I think, is like what would the average person think is reasonable, and that's where expensive lawyers come into play.
Yep.
And like you have the right to arrest somebody, but here's another problem: armed person trying to get into your house may be willing to hurt you, and you may not be as skilled at defending yourself as you might think, and it could be really a bad day. So, taking steps to get away is a good thing. It gets complicated. I know people earlier were asking, we didn't talk about it, but this whole keys at the front door, this has become a big question. People are talking, if someone gets into my house, good luck to them. They're not getting out of there. This is a real problem. And how you engage with it. Like we say, most police services, I think, would say it's reasonable to take your family and hide and close the door and call police and tell them there's somebody in your house, as opposed to engaging someone who is an unknown entity with unknown skills and tools. Anyway, it gets into a really complicated question. If you have more questions about this, talk to your local police division. There are community officers who are specifically there to talk about crime prevention and harm reduction, and that's their specialty. Where we're traffic safety people, they are the people giving great advice to your community.
What he said.
Yeah. Hey, look at this. The next comment is, thoughts about the Toronto police saying leaving your key fob outside to avoid break-in. Nick, I have no idea who said outside, because it wasn't a police officer. I heard the video. I heard the audio, I saw the video. We've never said leave it outside. This has been people. There was a Flush, I can't remember which channel it was. Fresh, they did a video where they said Toronto police said leave it outside. Nobody said outside. Leaving it at the front of your house is inside the front of your house, inside of the locked door, in a Faraday bag. You're taking all precautions to reduce the chances of it being stolen. The suggestion comes from, if they're in your house, they're willing to kick in the door, they're willing to come in and get your stuff. At that point, we're saying don't make them come to your bedroom to get it. Let them get it at the front door. Hopefully they will leave with your keys and leave your family unharmed. This is the same advice we'd give if someone was a carjacker pointing a gun at you. We'd say give them the car. Don't fight. Give them the car. The car is insured. You don't need the trauma and the assault and the risk to your family. That's what we're saying. I don't know where it got twisted, but it has been severely twisted in the media and on social media.
Really? The media? They do that?
I actually put a comment on the Fresh post because I'm like, this is just irresponsible. How they're taking it the wrong way and they're doing it knowingly. There's no way I don't buy it. Anyway, it's frustrating. Are you required to follow the orange speed signs on a highway, off ramps in particular? Assume those were for trucks. So those are my understanding is those are those numbers that the sciencey people say if you maintain that speed, you're unlikely to leave the roadway.
That's exactly what it is. So highway ramps are designed and they're cambered to, if you travel at that speed, there's supposed to be a zero gravity or what do you call that? I'm having a brain fart.
And I wasn't I was reading that Chase is in the case again.
Sorry, the pull, when you go around a corner.
G's? Gravity forces?
Yeah, the
G forces?
not centrifugal, but
Centrifugal?
Whatever it is. You're supposed to go at that speed, and it's supposed to be a zero tolerance on your car, so it won't try to, slip the tires and
so you don't lose
go
traction.
off the road. Easy for you to say, but hard for me.
So, but that
is all it is.
It's not an enforceable speed for the
is
purposes of. But here's the thing: if you are going on a 100-kilometer-an-hour road, of which most people are doing 120, and then you decide to do that 120 on the off ramp, we're probably going to be picking your car out of the woods.
Right.
Just saying, and those numbers are all based on ideal road conditions. People are doing it in the rain and the snow, and no, slow down. People need to slow down. Plus, they're getting off the road to go onto a community road that is much slower. Those off ramps give you, before you even hit the turn, you should have taken all your speed down before you enter the curve. This is what the lanes that allow you to reduce your speed in are for.
So are they enforceable? No. We call them a clue.
They are clues indeed. We've got Nick who follows up with, I recently got hit by a snowplow, which damaged my front bumper. I had to get a new one and temporarily couldn't mount my front plate, so I left it at my dash. Is that illegal?
Yes,
it is
100%.
illegal. Zip tied to your dashboard, tow hook adapter.
Zip tied to your dashboard?
Not to your dashboard. Sorry. Thank you for catching that. Grill, not dashboard. You don't, yeah. I have seen some pretty interesting 3D printed and otherwise modeled stands that go on dashboards. Not okay. The rules say, the legislation says, the regulation says, front of your vehicle in a conspicuous place that does not include 50% or 40% into the center of your vehicle. It is the front of your vehicle. And yeah. Now, is it reasonable? A police officer might pull you over and say, I get it, you got nowhere to mount it. Maybe there's nowhere to zip tie it.
I wouldn't.
I'm not saying, I said could, didn't say would.
Yep.
But I will tell you something that is what most people don't realize. That is a sharp metal object that would become a projectile in the event of a collision, and it could hurt you. So even if it,
comes out at head level.
Yeah. I would sooner not have a front plate temporarily, even though that's also not legal, than put it in a place that could hurt you in a collision. Just saying. You already don't have a bumper, so let's see here. We got. Oh, that's not good. I haven't. So Cowboy CA says, I have new anxiety meds that can make me sleepy. Can I drive when on those? They last 3 to 4 hours. Those are drugs. Drugs, whether legal, prescription, or narcotics, they're not, are drugs, and they impair you. And so you should not be driving a motor vehicle, and you could be charged.
If you're impaired in any way by drugs or alcohol, you will be arrested. You'll go through a series of tests, and you could end up being charged just the same as if you were drunk driving.
Yes.
So no, don't do it.
Life Hacks, and Chase is on the case again. Life Hacks wants to know if there's special rules for sport bikes on the road. You'd think so based on how some of them drive, but there aren't, and they are responsible to follow all the same rules as everybody else. In fact, we may be looking for those people in particular because they break so many rules so often. Not to say all do. There's some really good and reasonable motorcycle operators. I'm one of them. You're one of them. But those that break the rules are absolutely on our list.
Treat everybody the same and act on what they're doing or not doing, and don't group them into one category, because I might ride sport bikes too. You never know.
Q Slice wants to know how many beers are acceptable.
Depends where you are.
I'd say if you're driving, none. I believe that you should not consume any alcohol because impairment can happen at any time with any amount. Everyone deals with it differently. Some people say, well, one's okay. Well, one could be okay for you and maybe not for the next person. So it depends.
Right. And what does your doctor say about drinking beer?
Well, doctor just says it's not healthy in general.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not good for you.
So probably not acceptable on the road or through your doctor.
Yes. Depends on who you ask. But I will tell you that we don't take kindly to those who choose to break the law and drive impaired. And if you're doing that, we're gonna charge you appropriately. And it is a criminal offense. It's you use your cell phone. It's HTA. And that causes the same or more collisions than impairment does, because it is something that's less popular, but still completely inappropriate. And did you know that when you get charged, you get charged and convicted for impaired operation because you had a few too many, you can't travel. Your vacationing suddenly changes because you can't go into the States, and many countries will reject your entry, make you unsuitable for entry into their country. Hello, sir. Do you know when they are hiring for special constables or parking enforcement? Thank you. I don't know. Police constable, we are hiring. I know that for certain. And I got to meet some of our new recruits because I was at the police college yesterday afternoon. And one of my colleagues who used to work with me at courts is now going PC. And I was very happy to see him. It's good for him. Now, when in terms of new classes, no. That's why Toronto Police College, I got the wrong words in my head. I'm looking for the button here that says Employment Unit. Check out their website. Keep checking there regularly. Go and look because things change, and then there's a window of opportunity, and you want to be ready. So what I would also suggest you do is go create an account. You can go on there, create an employment account, start uploading your resume, filling out forms, and when an opportunity that you want to apply for becomes available, then you've got all that stuff already done and ready to go. Now, there may be additional testing that you have to do, but at least you can get the groundwork done if you're in a position to pass everything now. Why are snow plows not need front plate? It should be on the front of their plow if we need it on the front. It is required. It just needs to be. They relocated it to the front of their plow setup.
Must be visible. Must be on the front of their vehicle.
Yes. Oh, this is a great message. Alex McDonald 236 says, "Hi, love the stream. My mother, who is an RCMP officer, loves that you are educating the people." Well, thank you very much. I love to hear from folks from all over, and RCMP could be local. I'm assuming that it's all over, but where's everybody from today? Because we get some wild international viewers, and it is fantastic to see.
Wild viewers or
wild and international. What do we have here? What?
Oh, look at the time.
It is.
We are going to have to
go soon, but I'm just looking at a couple of these questions. A lot of people chatting back and forth. So I'm trying to get through the conversation that is amongst y'all and get the questions that are actually ours.
Did you just say y'all?
I say y'all as often as possible. I like it. I think it's cool. What is this? I don't know who that is. Tweep is talking to somebody. Speed cam thoughts. We've talked about that already. Bedazzled steering wheels. That's one I've not heard of before. I don't like steering wheel covers. I'm not a fan. Like leather wrap, I'm okay with. I don't like steering wheel covers. These big foam ones that change the design and.
If you modify your vehicle and make it unsafe to operate, resulting in a crash, you could be held liable for it. We call them clues. When we come to investigate a crash, we'll be making notes. Those notes your insurance company gets. Could your bedazzled steering wheel cause you to lose control? Maybe, maybe not. But you'd have to be able to justify it.
And if you're talking about like the pad that's in the center of the horn area that's being bedazzled, when someone makes high speed contact with that, I imagine that they leave quite an imprint. Like if you want a patterned bruise, bedazzled jewels would be bedazzling your forehead.
I wonder what the bedazzled steering wheel would do as the airbag goes off.
Bullets, they'd be tiny little projectiles.
Bedazzled bullets.
Bedazzled, sparkly, yeah, bad. Let's see here. You say TPS is so great, but almost every month we hear about misconduct. Here's the deal. I hear about misconduct with medical doctors, lawyers, dentists, school teachers. There are people who do the wrong thing in every background. I think that based on the statistics, I think we're doing pretty good. I'm not condoning. I do not like people who break the law. I don't like it when they wear a uniform even less or even more. Don't like it even more. I don't like it. What I'm trying to say is we find our bad people, we deal with them, we hold them accountable.
We're probably the most scrutinized profession in the world with so many oversight bodies. When there's a little bit of misconduct, we out it.
Yeah.
And we make sure that the person is responsible for it and not continuing it. Where maybe some other industries don't have the same sort of oversight, and it could happen for some time before it being caught.
But there's always going to be bad apples and people who get into a job with intentions to be bad. There's other people who just screw up, and there's a difference. There's the criminal mind, and then there's the oopsie-doo, I'm a dope. Like both things are reasonable, because guess what? We're still human.
There is nobody who hates a bad cop more than good cops.
Yes. Because this uniform, we all look the same to some degree. I mean, some people think we're brothers, but at the same time, to the average person, you're just a cop, and they need to trust us. And when we know what that means, when someone looks at us and wants that help and is needing us, and to think that anyone would be questioning our ability to help them because now somebody has screwed up what this means to that person really bugs me. Yep. And it bugs us. So I don't want to go further down the road with that. But someone says suspended with pay, laughing their rear end off.
Not anymore.
The changes as of the 1st of April, right?
April 1st.
Yeah. So for those who say it's something that we can just do, they've totally changed it. They have been working diligently to change those that are being protected by rules that were forever there. I mean, there was a reason for it, and there's still a reason for it if it can be justified. But if there's criminality where it's not just somebody who was involved with an incident and hurt somebody else, and there's reasons when we should be suspended with pay, and there's reasons when we should not be, and it depends. Oh, this is great to hear. Andrew Bowen says, I've been here 3 months and I've had 4 interactions with TPS, and it's been nothing but pleasant and professional. I'm glad to hear it. That really does make me happy.
Andrew, why are you having 4 interactions with TPS in 3 months?
I don't know.
What you doing? What's going on? Good interactions, I hope.
Well, I'm glad that they were good.
Bad.
But things happen. People call the police for all sorts of reasons, whether it be collisions or whatnot. It's good stuff. Our dash cams and fuzzy dice obstructions of view, yes.
100%. Anything on the dash. Or anything on the dash or the windshield.
Depends on placement. So I have my dash cam, although it's currently broken and I haven't fixed it yet because I haven't had time. It is behind my rearview mirror. I cannot see the device. I have mounted it, and good ones are designed to be that way. If you have it plopped right in the center of your windshield and you're looking through it in order to drive, that's a problem. That's obscuring your view. If you don't think that was accurate, if you think that where you had it was not obstructing your view, you have the ability to challenge that ticket, but be prepared to be scrutinized on the stand and explain yourself.
And you know what? Fuzzy dice, love them.
When the police do something right, nobody remembers. When the police do something wrong, nobody forgets. Yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. It is a thing. Let's see here. I got Mike McMichael says, meanwhile, they got spotlights and radar on the dash. Well, we don't have spotlights on the dash. We have spotlights on the hood of the vehicle. And we don't even have those. Some police services have them.
Yep.
But, yeah, there's all sorts of things.
Radar, yeah, we do. Mounted on the dash.
But are we driving, are we obscuring the view, or are we looking over it? Like, it depends. Everything depends. most people, when we're talking about fuzzy dice, it's right in the path of your ability to see a pedestrian. All right. I think, while I can continue to absolutely read this forever, I think we're going to call it. I think we're going to say it's the end. Now, we do have some dad jokes, unless I have some pin stuff here. Do I have some pin stuff here? We talked about this. Motorcycle rider, we talked about that.
How can you tell a dogwood tree different from any other tree?
How?
It's in the bark.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
I got that one this morning.
Oh, did you really?
Yep.
Dad joke from Brandon. I thought my dryer was shrinking my clothes. It turns out it was the refrigerator all along.
Yeah.
I know some people who...
I get that.
This was a question that I meant to respond to earlier. It was from Brandon. I flagged it and I ignored it. Do TPS cruisers have automated plate readers in every one?
Soon.
It's a rollout. It's an update to equipment. Eventually, we will have them in all vehicles, which is great.
Yep.
It's technology that will really help us keep people safe. Yogi Berra quote: "I didn't make it in baseball. Sorry. Oh, if I didn't make it in baseball, I won't have made it working. I didn't like to work." I'm not picking up the Yogi stuff. I'm not a baseball person. Even less a Yogi person. But I appreciate that we have them from Michaela. But a lot of what he says just makes me question why. And maybe that's why there's calendars that have his quotes. Akela has provided a joke. Two bakers were trying to have a discussion in a noisy kitchen about leavened Indian breads, but couldn't hear one another. The topic was a non-starter.
A nan starter. Nice.
Non-starter. I like naan. I'm not eating bread right now. I like naan. We talked about this. We talked about that. Just making sure we didn't leave anything that was really, really good. If I have a written certification for my vehicle but haven't registered it yet, will I be towed? That is a unique question. So you have a registration is within the time frame that you're driving, because if you have a certification, if their certification is valid only for a certain number of days, 30 days, I think.
36.
36.
Yep.
Very specific number.
It is.
36 days.
But if you haven't registered your vehicle and you don't have a temporary trip permit, you're going to get towed. Doesn't matter whether you have a written certification for it or not.
You only have 6 days to transfer ownership.
That's right.
And at that point, and you can go to the ministry, get a temporary plate. The plate's good for 10 days. You can renew it if you have to.
And you don't need a written certification to get the temporary permit, but your vehicle must be in fit status before it was transferred to you.
Yes. We talked about the key fob business. Can you become a police officer if you've gotten stopped before but got a warning? So according to our website, if you look at that, tps.ca/careers, you can apply if you have up to 6 demerit points. Now, I will say this. A good driving record is a really good thing to have, because if we're looking at your background and you've got a history of all sorts of driving issues, not ignorance of the law, but a willful noncompliance with laws. And that's a problem, because we're going to say, why would you want to now enforce laws you yourself don't respect or follow?
Right. Also, we drive police cars.
Yes.
And trucks and motorcycles.
Don't join if you don't want to drive. If you don't like driving,
if you're not a good driver, no to policing.
Here's a question that I noticed and kept for you, and we'll attack it. Is smoke taillights legal? The light is visible.
Clearly discernible for a distance of
150 meters.
Yes. Clearly discernible.
Yeah, it means that you need to be able to not only see the light, but you have to see when it's on high and low when the brakes are being applied. And if that is something that the police officer disagrees with you, expect a ticket.
Absolutely. Why? And it drives me nuts. Why would you take something that's on the rear of your vehicle, make it less effective, so anybody behind you, not really paying attention, is going to run into the back of you? Now, a lot of people say, well, it's not my fault. It's their fault. They'll have to pay for it. Yes, but you're going to be a victim, and your car's going to be damaged, and your resale value of your car is going to be lessened, and you're going to have to make a claim on your insurance, and. So don't do it. And when I come and I see the tinted tail lights and I write that down on my report.
It's a clue.
maybe your insurance is going to have a look at that, what I wrote anyways, and maybe not approve your claim.
They do their own evaluations. The car belongs to them essentially once the collision's occurred. If they're going to be writing it off, it's going to be theirs.
Well,
they get it.
If you make a claim, then yep, you've signed over your right to everything there.
They're going to look at it and they're going to see these things whether we wrote it or not. And they look for those things because they're in the business of not paying. They prefer not to pay you, quite honestly. They're there. It's great when they're there and they do help you. I'm very thankful for insurance after my collisions. And but if there's a reason not to pay you, they won't.
Right.
Because it's about making money. I'm from Alberta. What is the Ontario law for tires sticking past your wheel well? It needs to be covered by fender flare or mud flap to prevent tire rooster tailing stuff.
And there is a
debris.
maximum width of your vehicle out on the roadways in Ontario. It is, I know it in inches, 101, 102 is too wide. So
sorry, go ahead.
you've totally squirreled.
Well, I found something I want to talk about.
Okay, well, this is the last one.
This is the last one. We got to go. Nick Bambro says, these guys are very knowledgeable on how police collect money. And I thought this was a great way to end the show. Some people believe that we're here as a tax collector, as a money-making entity for the police service. Do we make money at this?
We don't even get toaster if we're a police officer of the
There's
month.
no commission. We don't get free vacations. I've never been given even a plaque for excellent ticket writing.
No.
Here's the thing. We write tickets because we believe in the laws, because there are laws to make people and the roads safer. It's about protecting life. We lost 45 people in the city of Toronto alone. You gotta put that into perspective. Just the city of Toronto, 45 people, and I have to say this because of TikTok, unalived because of driving choices. It's choices of people breaking laws that cause those people to not be here anymore. When we write tickets, it's to change driver behavior, to make the roads safer, because we want people like you to survive, get to where you're going and back home again in one piece without hurting anyone, including yourself. So when you say it's just to make money, not only are you wrong because the motivation is not there to make money, it's wrong because I think they lose money like crazy. The more tickets we write, we just cost them more money. Yep. Because there's a whole secondary side of the business.
Court process and a lot of administrative stuff that's going on there, but it's a consequence. If you drive badly, there's a consequence to it, whether you pay through the court system or you pay through the civil system if you do something wrong.
And it is you who gets the ticket. I mean, you do everything except write it down. We are just the note takers for your behavior. So you gave yourself the ticket. I just made notes about it. That's it. That's my story.
Send a certificate, hand it over.
And hopefully it changes behavior going forward. And maybe people are surviving longer because of the work we're doing. I would hate to think. I would truly hate to think what the roads would look like if we weren't out doing what we do. So that's it. All right. With that, I'm going to play the Song of Songs, the traffic song, and we'll be back on Monday because I'm not here tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Just drive safe. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be here.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
That's it. That's all. But a reminder that if you do want to get the podcast version, and whether it's the version replaying this episode or if you'd like to watch our episodes on YouTube, because we have both a podcast called Ask a Traffic Cop, which is really just this again. We also have TPS Traffic Jam, where I actually interview people about stuff and things. The most recent one was with CAA talking about auto theft. It's a great episode, a short one. We've had longer episodes. I have one talking about batteries on e-bikes that catch on fire. It's called Thermal Runaway. That was with Deputy Chief Larry Coco of the Toronto Fire Services. And you know what? It's an awesome episode because, I'm biased. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, and of course, smile because it looks good on you. I had to press all the buttons. Have a good one.